What if I told you Victor Wembanyama might not be the most interesting prospect in the NBA right now? What's up guys, it's Colin from Next Man Up. Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the most interesting prospect in the whole NBA. And asking the question, could he be better than the one and only Victor Wembanyama? If you couldn't tell by the thumbnail or the title of the video, we're going to be talking about Chet Holmgren of the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you guys don't know, Chet Holmgren was the second overall pick in the 2022 NBA draft, and he was a stud at Gonzaga in college. He was a second-team All-American, he won the Defensive Player of the Year for his conference, and back in high school he was the National Player of the Year. So why have people maybe not even heard of him? For the more casual fans, it makes sense why you may have never even heard of him, because he got hurt before the season started last year. In a Pro-Am scrimmage in Seattle, Chet went down with a scary injury to his foot, which kept him sidelined for the whole last season. But what Chet made sure to do was to stay NBA ready. So even while he was injured, he was in the lab working on his skills and putting some weight on. If you look at Chet, just an image of him, you can see he's a skinnier guy, and that was one of his biggest criticisms before getting drafted, but his talent is undeniable, and with a little bit of weight he's put on, he's looking dangerous going into next year. And as you guys know, Oklahoma City was one of the most fun teams in the league last year, even without Chet, so assuming they get him back at full force, that team's going to be electric to watch. But if you guys haven't made the comparison already, the internet's done it for you. With Victor Wembanyama going number 1 overall in this year's NBA draft, people are starting to make some comparisons between the two. Both of these guys are elite defenders who are pretty skinny, and there's some criticism saying they won't be able to handle the tougher centers in the NBA, but there's a lot to be said about these two individually. So I'm not coming into this video looking to argue about who's better, but I want to give you guys some baseline information and a couple opinions of mine, and hopefully you can form your own opinion and throw it down in the comments. Let me know what you think. I think there is a really good argument for Chet being better, and a lot of that comes from his defensive upside. He showed this defensive upside in full force at college at Gonzaga. He had this incredible ability to block shots that you thought were nowhere near the rim. Even these guys that throw up high arcing floaters can't get a shot up because Chet Holmgren has this amazing defensive timing where he's always jumping at the right time, and you mix that with his 7'2" frame, it's going to be hard to even get a shot up on this guy. I also think Chet is going to be a really fun, dynamic player in Oklahoma City. I think he fits with the team great. Oklahoma City loves to run an up-tempo offense, and with their star point guard SGA, I think Chet is going to find a lot of success in the pick and roll game. What makes Chet so special is, alongside with his defensive abilities and pure center moments, he's electric with the ball in his hands and he's comfortable. So with that next to an all-NBA level guard, I think that pick and roll game is going to be really dangerous. And honestly, even in a 5-out sense, I think Chet has the ability to shoot well enough where he can be dangerous from the inside and out. Another reason I'm confident Chet will succeed in the NBA is because of his high work ethic. Despite not having a single NBA game under his belt, he's already getting praise from some of the NBA's toughest players. I look at a guy like Patrick Beverley, who is a loudmouth and not really a fan of anybody that's not on his squad, and even he is giving Chet the credit he deserves. Beverley made it clear that he thinks Chet will succeed in the NBA because of his high work ethic. Chet is not the type of guy that would sit on the sidelines and let his teammates make plays for him. Chet is a guy that goes out and gets it. Chet's also had to work for it his entire career. He's not a guy that was seen as a fan favorite. He was actually hated on for a lot of his career, and it's been important for him to go and prove the haters wrong. So with that mindset and the abilities he has under his belt already, I'm pretty confident he's going to find a way to make it work in the NBA. So if for those reasons you think Chet is going to be a better player than Victor Wembanyama, I completely understand. But we also shouldn't pretend like Victor Wembanyama won't have a great place in the NBA one day. I won't bore you guys too much talking about Victor Wembanyama, because if you're a fan of the page or you've been watching any NBA basketball talk in the last couple months, you probably know all there is to know about Victor. He's a star-studded center out of France, and he's an incredible player. But I do want to give a couple specific reasons why I think he could be more successful than a guy like Chet in the NBA. I mentioned earlier how one of Chet's strengths is that he's very confident as a ball handler, but Victor is even more confident with even more looks as a ball handler. Victor is 7'3", 7'4", 7'5", however tall you think he is. He's incredibly tall, and he works well with the ball in his hands. I'm confident in him developing as a playmaker, and this is a center we're talking about, a freak of nature. And not even to mention his jump shooting, which I think is incredible. So although Chet does these things well, Victor's on a whole nother level, I would say. I also think it can't be unnoted how incredibly athletically gifted Victor is. I know you all know this, but when Chet came into the draft, he was seen as this unicorn freak of nature, kind of like Porzingis. Chet comes in at 7'1", 7'2", depending on where you look, and he is a freak of nature, but he is towered upon by Victor Wembanyama. Victor is incredibly gifted for his size, and even if he wasn't, he still has some of the most incredible size the league has ever seen. I also think it's really important to mention how Victor is in the perfect situation for his success. I mean, he's going to San Antonio with the great Greg Popovich, and Popovich just signed a 5-year extension to stick around with the team for most of the rest of his life, if we're being honest. That's incredible, and it shows how much faith he has in Wembanyama. Pop isn't sticking around to be with a bunch of bums. He's sticking around to build the next great dynasty, and clearly he sees that with Wembanyama. I claim to know a lot about basketball, but that is the basketball expert if there ever were to be one. So if he sees something in Wembanyama, I see why the fans at home might as well. I don't want to bore you guys too much more with details you probably already know or opinions you've probably made up, but one thing I want to talk about that may not be discussed enough is Chet having an extra year of NBA experience under his belt. I understand Chet hasn't played any games and he was injured, but being able to be around the team, be in the facilities, interact with your teammates, your coaches, eat what the guys eat, travel with them, all that great stuff, it's going to be really impactful for his career going forward. He already has built-in chemistry with the team he's working with now, and I think it's going to show up in the stat sheet this year when he has an incredible rookie season. Now, I want to make it clear, I have no doubt in my mind that Victor will have a seamless transition to the NBA. We saw him in the Summer League. Game 1 was rough, but he still looked comfortable. In Game 2, when he came out, he was firing and he had a great performance. So I know you shouldn't read too much into the Summer League, but just seeing him work on an NBA floor and look like he belongs was really important to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play this year. This does beg the question, though, which one of these guys do you think will find more success in the NBA? Do you think they'll both be superstar level? Do you think they'll both suck? I want to hear what you got to say in the comments, so please let me know. Also, with both of these guys being eligible for Rookie of the Year votes, do you think one of these guys is a lock to win it, or are you a fan of maybe Henderson in Portland, Miller in Charlotte, or maybe an underrated guy that you feel like the media is not talking about enough? Let me know who you think's going to win Rookie of the Year. Let me know who you think's going to be better. Let's start a discussion in the comments. I think it's a really interesting topic of discussion, especially in this NBA offseason, which can get kind of slow. With all that being said, I'll stop the rambling. I hope you guys have a great day. We really appreciate the support we've been getting on the channel, and I hope you check out some of our other videos. Peace out.